Hey, greetings everyone. Gleekon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. We are continuing through our little kind of lull before we can get to the expansion of Tides of Darkness, which is the Beyond the Dark portal. On the last episode, we talked about the aftermath of the war in the immediate term for the Alliance and the Horde, and now, if you want to stay a while and listen, we're going to talk about the orc internment camps. I'm not familiar with this. I actually wasn't very aware that this had happened, but I have seen it alluded to in a few different things, and I'm guessing this is a big deal for Warcraft 3. I think it also helps in the animosity that maintains, because the orcs just, up till now, they just want Azeroth. They want a home, and much in the way that many peoples have with power have decided to take a land from the people that live there. We have the orcs just doing that to the Alliance. It's a tale as old as time, but that has evolved by the time you're in World of Warcraft to be an animosity. So I think it's things like this which really lead to that animosity. So let's find out. Not all members of the Alliance were so focused on healing and rebuilding. Hatred of the orcs still burned in the hearts of many. Valeria Windrunner had seen countless elves perish in the Second War. Driven by revenge, she spent her days hunting down orcs who had escaped capture. It was her way to deal with the loss and sorrow brought on by the war. Valeria was not the only one hunting orcs. Groups of humans, elves, dwarves, and gnomes stalked the eastern kingdoms. They combed the deep wilds and remote mountains in search of their prey. The Alliance hunters captured many of the orcs they found. Others they killed on sight, vengeance for loved ones who had died in the war. The question of what to do with the captured orcs became a subject of bitter debate. Gilneas and Stromgarde argued for the execution of the prisoners, yet Lordaeron was against putting the orcs to the blade. The capacity for mercy proved that the Alliance was more civilized and honorable in the Horde. Rather than execute the orcs, Lordaeron wanted to lock them in internment camps, prisons to be funded by Alliance members. Dalaran's Kirin Tor also lobbied for imprisonment. After the First War, the Council of Tirisfal had faded from existence. The Kirin Tor now took charge over matters that the Secret Order had once specialized in, such as investigating demonic activity. Okay. Dalaran's magi wished to study the orcs and their strange magics, as much for the pursuit of knowledge as for strategic purposes. The Kirin Tor argued that by better understanding the orcs' strengths and weaknesses, they could defeat them if war ever broke out again. Alright, yeah, so with Medivh, the Last Guardian, all that stuff, that Council of Tirisfal, yeah, I guess it's gone, but to fill that power vacuum of magi, sort of running things behind the scenes, we have the Kirin Tor. The Alliance eventually came to an agreement. The member nations would fund the construction of internment camps which would house the orcs. One of Stromgarde's most celebrated soldiers, Danath Trollbane, would oversee these crude prisons. Is that the Trollbane guy's son or something? If order could be maintained, the camps would remain. If not, the Alliance would revisit executing the orcs. I think now that I think about it, in the Caverns of Time, when you have like old Hillsbrad foothills and stuff like that, you do have these prison camps. The camps did prove successful, but bitterness remained over their existence. Gilneas thought the prisons were a pointless burden on the Alliance. They were already spending a fortune rebuilding the Stormwind, and now more coin was being siphoned into keeping their enemies alive. And I think we're alluding to how Gilneas is going to leave the Alliance. Yeah, there you go. In the years that followed, the cost of maintaining the camps would remain a sticking point for Gilneas, and it would eventually drive the nation away from the Alliance. And we know it eventually comes back into the fold, but yes, for a long time, it's gone. It's probably gone in Warcraft 3. It's definitely gone until Cataclysms over the first 3 expansions. Durnhold Keep. Though Danath Trollbane oversaw all of the camps, he delegated command of them to the Second War's high-ranking veterans. One prison outside Durnhold Keep in Hillsbrad Foothills fell under the control of a respected lord named Adelis Blackmore. I think that's the one that has Thrall captive. During the first war, Blackmore had discovered the infant orc Goel and had taken him to Durnhold. Unbeknownst to the rest of the Alliance, he'd continued raising the young orc whom he named Thrall. In secret, Blackmore plotted to mold Thrall into his own obedient general, a general who would one day lead the captive orcs against the Alliance. It was Blackmore's hope that he could assert dominion over the human nations and reign as their king. Oh, so he wants to create an orcish army under his control, this Blackmore. And we know Durnhold Keep is basically in shambles in Warcraft. In World of Warcraft. So in Warcraft 3, I'm thinking that has to be a big part of Warcraft 3, at least at some part. I know very little. I've seen some screenshots of Warcraft 3 Reforged or whatever it is that shows it like a RTS. But I also remember when I was younger and the game first came out, seeing like magazine reviews of it and seeing like a adventure style game where you're controlling Thrall. And that was, I think, all I originally saw, and that kind of turned me off from wanting at that time. Now I think that would be cool. I'm into playing whatever. But when I was a kid, I thought, or a younger man, whatever, I can't remember how exactly the year when that came out, I was like, oh, they're changing it up. It's not RTS anymore. So the magazine that I read did a disservice to it, because I would have probably been in there from the beginning. And then also when they started to get into, what's the mod? The Warcraft 3 mod that became such a big game. The tower, whatever, the lane style of hardcore. Oh, geez, I can't remember. Not Eye of the Storm, but I can't remember what it's called. But I'm sure those of you out there are familiar with it. And then that just became notorious for its toxic community and brutal difficulty. That was also just more like I just wanted nothing to do with Warcraft 3. Now I do. Now I'm eager to play it for the first time with you guys. All right, have another episode in the pipe. 5x5. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Lore of Warcraft.